Okay, if you're a designer or a production artist, what's the one phone call you just hope you never get? That's right, that dreaded phone call from the pre-press or print house saying that there's a problem with your file and it can't be printed. Something like missing fonts or missing links or any other number of issues that might be wrong with the document. And you're thinking, oh man, I wish I had known about that before I sent the document along so I didn't cause a delay in the production of my document. So what can InDesign do to help you out with that? InDesign has had a Preflight feature for quite a while. It was something that used to access under the File menu, but notice that there's no Preflight command here anymore because the Preflight command has been redone from the ground up now. Preflight used to just check for a limited number of conditions, things like missing fonts, missing links, and a few other things, but not much else. With the new live Preflight feature in CS4, you can check for dozens of conditions using something called a Preflight profile. So if you take a look at the bottom of the document here, you'll see a little red dot and it says 7 errors. This document now has 7 errors against something called a Preflight profile, which is nothing more than a list of conditions that you want the document to check against. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this little widget, and that opens up the brand new Preflight panel. This becomes kind of command central for the errors and issues that your document is running into. Now you can see this document already has a number of issues. The default profile that the Light Preflight feature is using is called the basic profile. And this checks for a very small number of issues for every document. One example would be overset text frames. The idea is that you would create your own profile and customize it to pay attention to the exact conditions that you want to be looking for your particular workflow. To customize a profile, you go to the Define Profile submenu here. And this brings up the dialog box where you can actually turn on and off these particular conditions to create your own custom profile. To create a new one, you just click the plus button, give it a name up here. I've already done that and I've named it My Profile. And then you start turning down the categories. There's links, color, images and objects, text, and document. For this particular profile that I'm using for this demo, I've actually turned on the image resolution condition and actually turned on the color image minimum resolution and entered a value of 250. So this is basically telling InDesign, hey, every color image that's placed in this document needs to be at least 250 pixels per inch or dots per inch in order for it to not be flagged as an error. I've turned on the bleed and trim hazard as well. So let me know if an image does not go out all the way to the bleed guide. And then, of course, I've got the default overset text frame condition turned on as well. You can explore the number of conditions here on your own time, but these are just the ones I've turned on to show you how this all works. So I'm going to click OK. And to switch profiles, you just go to the profile switcher up here and choose the profile that you want to use for this particular document. So we'll go back to My Profile. Here I can see that this has found 7 errors now in my document. I've got text errors and image and object errors. Let's go ahead and click the text twisty down here, and it says I've got 1 overset text frame. We'll go ahead and turn that down to get more details on it. And if I click on the specific error, down at the bottom of the Preflight panel is an info area that tells me more information about that particular issue. So this tells me I've got 35 characters of overset text, and then InDesign tries to give you a suggestion on how to fix that particular problem. Now, to also assist you here, this is not just a passive list of errors. This is actually a hyperlink that will take you to the page that's got the problem on it. And if appropriate, it will actually select the page item that's got the issue on it as well, if it's a page item error. So I clicked on page 2. It took me to that page, selected the object that's got the issue. In this case, it's a text frame. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that bottom middle handle, and that will re-expand the text frame to show me all the text. I no longer have an overset text object, and that item now drops from the list of errors. So again, that's that notion of live Preflight. It's always checking your document against the conditions defined in the profile. So if you make a fix to the error, it's going to recycle through the document and recheck to see that you've now fixed that against that particular issue. I have a couple issues left, images and objects. Let's turn that down. It turns out I've got a bleed trim hazard and I've got an image resolution issue. Let's take care of the bleed trim hazard first. We'll turn that down to actually see that there's a graphic frame and the image placed inside it on page 3 that's got an issue. So let's click on that link. That takes me to that page where the problem is. And we'll go ahead and zoom up a couple times and show you that, yes, this image does have a bleed issue. If I turn off my preview mode, press the W key and show you my guides, this image does not extend out to the bleed guide. It's only to the page edge. So let's resize that frame to the bleed guide. And now I'm going to have enough leftover error to get trimmed once it's done on press. And again, you can see the Preflight panel now drops that from the error list. Excellent. So we're almost done with our document. This particular document also has one more error, the image resolution error. And if I step through these, I can see these are all JPEGs, and they're low resolution JPEGs. So remember, I set my rule to be color images needed to be at least 250 dpi. This is obviously lower than that. And it turns out that all these images are the low-resolution proxies or placeholder images that my designer gave me, and I forgot to replace them with their high-resolution counterparts. Now, to fix this error, I'm going to showcase yet another new feature in InDesign CS4 available from the Links panel. So I've just expanded my Links panel here, and I've customized my Links panel to show you folder 0. That's a particular column of information that you can turn on. You do that through the panel options for links. And I've turned on the folder 0 checkmark for show column. What folder 0 means is show me the folder that the link is placed from on my disk. And if I click on folder 0, that header, I can sort my links by their folder locations. And I can see that all 4 of these JPEGs have been placed from the same low resolution folder. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of them by clicking on the first one, holding down the Shift key and clicking on the last one. And then I'm going to use this new feature in the links panel called Relink to Folder. This lets me relink an entire folder all at once. I've navigated to my high resolution folder, but you'll notice that these files are not JPEGs, they're TIFFs. So I want InDesign to match the same file name, but pay attention to the TIFF extension instead of the JPEG extension. We're going to go ahead and press the select button. And InDesign will now update all those low-resolution JPEGs with their high-resolution counterparts, being the TIFF files. And once it's all done, look at that, voila, the Preflight panel now has listed no errors. I've got the green go-ahead light letting me know that against the particular profile I used to preflight this document, I no longer have any errors. I'm now ready to send this down to my prepress person or package it up and send it to my printer, and I will have an error-free document.